press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome to history class. Okay, let us recap what we have discussed in the last class. We have discussed in the last class hunger, hardship and popular revolt. Okay, 1830 were years of great economic hardship in Europe. Why? An enormous increase in population all over Europe. Next, there were more seekers of jobs than employment. Next, population from rural areas migrated to the cities. Next one is a bad harvest, the rise of food prices. These are all the reasons. The year of 1830 were of great economic hardship in Europe. Next, let us go in this session. One example we have discussed. Next, let us go to the page number 17, 3.3, 1848, the Revolution of Liberals. It was also called as a Pebro Revolution. In the last period we have discussed, before last period we have discussed July Revolution 1830. The first, after the end of Napoleon 1815, who came to power? Louis XVIII, who belonged to Bourbon dynasty. He ruled from 1815 to 1824. After 1824 he died after Charles Ton, who came to power from 1824 to 1830. He was not a good reformer. He did not take care about the people. He was always enmity of the people. He was one of the monarch. He did not reform any administrative reforms. That's why he was dethroned by people. There was another revolution which took place in 1830 that was popularly known as July Revolution in the year of 1830. After 1830, after the death throne of Louis Charleston, who came to power, the revolutionary government, they installed a new dynasty, not belonged to Bourbon dynasty, new dynasty, Louis Philippe. He ruled from 1830 to 1848. During this time, and also another revolution which took place 1848 against the Louis Philippe, that was popularly known as 1848 February Revolution. Let us discuss about the 1848, the Revolution of Liberals. Parallel to the revolts of poor, unemployment, starving peasants and workers. Starving peasants, which means they were suffering from hunger. There are hasiನಿಂದ ಬಳಲ್ತಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ peasants. And next, those who won the one revolution which was led by the poor and unemployment. They wanted, the poor person, they wanted money, and next one is food. Unemployment, they wanted employment. Next, starving peasant, they wanted food. Workers, they wanted free from exploitation by the plantation owners and next to textile owners. These are all members. They started revolutionary activities against the Louis Philippe government. Work in many European countries in year 1848. Workers in many European countries in the year of 1848 are revolution led by the other hand, another one revolution which took place led by educated middle class, which included professors, teachers, businessmen, and those members, they also protest against the government. Underway, events of February in 1848. This revolution which took place in February, that's why it was popularly known as February Revolution, in France had brought about the abdication of monarch and republic based on universal male suffrage had been proclaimed. Next, 1848 February Revolution. This revolution, France had brought about abdication of monarch. Those who ruled over France in the year of 1840, Louis Philippe. Louis Philippe was dethroned by these two members. The first one revolutionary which was led by the poor, unemployment, starving peasants and workers, and educated, next one revolution which was led by educated middle class. These two members dethroned the Louis Philippe in the Pebro Revolution of 1848. This was popularly known as Pebro Revolution. When was Pebro Revolution taken place? When did Pebro Revolution take place? 1848. ಯಾರನ್ನ ಡೆಥ್ರೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಲೂಯಿಸ್ ಫಿಲಿಪೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ. ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅಬ್ಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಬ್ಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂದರೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಪದತ್ಯಾಗ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ದೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ದ ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತು. ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. How was republic system? Our republic system based on universal male suffrage had been proclaimed. Universal male suffrage, which means the voting power which was given to male suffrage. ಅಂದರೆ ಮೇಲ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ, even though so far the women did not have to write voting power. Only for this government also, republic government. Which government came into existence? Republic government came into existence under the leadership of Napoleon III. Under the leadership of Napoleon III, who belonged to Napoleon. You know that Napoleon is one of the emperor of France. He ruled from 1799 to 1850. After the defeat, who defeated Napoleon? Napoleon was defeated by the united of 4 European groups such as Austria, England, Russia. Okay. After the death of Napoleon, his grandson, Napoleon III, who provoked the people against Louis Philippe, and he also spread the reformation which was made by Napoleon. ರೆಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ. ಅಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನೆಪೋಲಿಯನ್ ಥರ್ಡ್, ಹೂ ಕೇಮ್ ಟು ಪವರ್ 1848. He established a republic system, but he did not give women a right to vote power. He gave only for male children. ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟ. Who had established a republic system? Napoleon III established a republic system. Universal, which government had provided universal male suffrage, universal male suffrage? Republic system of government, which was led by Napoleon III. In the other parts of Europe where independent nations did not exist, other parts of Europe such as German state, this is France, next to French, Spain, France, German, England, next to here this is Poland, next to Russia, Austria. Those who members, the first one is which state did not exist as a nation state. The first one is German. Who was German? German was broken into many dynasties, many provinces, 360 provinces, or it was made by Napoleon as a 36 ki madidda. Okay na. There were ruled by different dynasties. One part was ruled by Habsburg dynasty, as we discussed in the last class. Another part was ruled by French dynasty, Bourbon dynasty. And next Italy also is one of the, here there was Italy, here there is Italy is one of the highland, and Italy also was ruled by many dynasties: Habsburg dynasty, Pope dynasty, Bourbon dynasty. And next one is Poland. Austro-Hungarian states did not exist as an empire. Men and women of liberal middle class combined their demands for constitutionalism with national unification. They wanted men and women of German, Austro-Hungary, Poland, Italy, all men and women combined. ಅವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆದರು. Their demands for nationalism with national unification. They wanted constitutionalism with national unification. National unification, which means ಈಗ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರ ಬೇಡ ನಮಗೆ. They wanted nationalism, national unification, which means German, it was not ruled by, it should not be ruled by any other countries. It should be ruled by only unified country. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರಿಂದನೇ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ನಡಿಬೇಕಂತಂದೇಳಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ದೇ ಟುಕ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅನ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಪುಷ್ ದೇರ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ನೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ದೇ ಟುಕ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಪುಷ್ ದೇರ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದರು, ದೇ ವರ್ ಯೂನಿಫೈಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ men and women of liberal middle class. And next, their demands for creation of nation states. What were their demands? The first demand for a creation of nation state. They wanted nation states. A nation state, it was created forged through struggles. It was not created a waging of long years war. Okay. And next, on parliamentary principles. They wanted parliamentary principles, a constitution, freedom of press, freedom of association. What were the demands of middle class, liberal middle class? What were the demands of men and women of liberal middle class? Point number 1, creation of nation state. 2 marks question. What were the demands of men and women of the liberal middle class? Creation of nation state. They wanted nation state. Nation state means that is a new state. It was not controlled by any other state. It had become freed from another state. In the nation state, they were enjoying the freedom, a right to vote, a right to express their opinion. They wanted nation state and parliamentary principles, which means like India. Here also Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Next, they wanted also upper house and lower house. They wanted constitution. Next point is freedom of press. They wanted writing freedom and they express their opinion against the government and against any other honestable person. And freedom of association. They wanted to make an association. And an association means like we can see in Karnataka Rakshana Vediki, Krushikara Sangha, like this. They wanted to make association. And also, why did they establish association, make association? They wanted all facilities. What is the facility is given by government? They wanted all facilities. ಅಂದರೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ, ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಲಿಬರಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್. The point name is liberals and their demands. What were their demands? The point number 1 is demands for creation of nation states. Demand for creation of nation states on parliamentary principles, a constitution, freedom of press, freedom of association. Next one is Frankfurt Parliament. Next one is Frankfurt Parliament. Frankfurt Parliament. Frankfurt Parliament. It was held in the Frankfurt of Germany. In the German regions, a large number of political associations whose members were middle class, professionals, businessmen and prosperous artisans came together in the city of Frankfurt. In the city of Frankfurt came all. This is one of the city of Frankfurt. City of the Frankfurt. All members came together. Those who were the members in the German regions, a large number of political associations. Our political associations were led by middle class professionals, businessmen and prosperous artisans. Prosperous artisans means richest artisans. Artisans, which means those who make art, such as plumbering and next to goldsmith. These are all the artisans together in the city of Frankfurt. The Frankfurt, it was the city of German state. The Frankfurt is the city of German state. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ? Frankfurt, the city of Frankfurt in German. Why did they gather together in the city of Frankfurt and decided to vote for an all German National Assembly. They wanted to create a all German Nation Assembly, German National Assembly. Why did they together? Why did they together in the city of Frankfurt? Why? Because decided to vote for an all German National Assembly. They wanted German will become free, would become free. That's why all the members of professionals such as lawyers, either lawyers, doctors, next teacher, artisans, all together in the Frankfurt on 18th May 1848. 831 elected representative marched in festive procession to take their places in the Frankfurt Parliament, convinced in the Church of St. Paul. Here, on 8 May 1848, 831 elected representatives ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಫೆಸ್ಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್, ಹಬ್ಬದ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ? ಫೆಸ್ಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದೇರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಫರ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್, ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಲ್. ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ? ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಲ್ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಫರ್ಟ್, ಜರ್ಮನ್ ಸೀಟ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಫರ್ಟ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ವೈ ಡಿಡ್ ದೇ ಗೋ? ಯಾಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ವೈ ವರ್ ದೇ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದೇರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಫರ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್, ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಆಫ್, ವೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಫರ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್? Convinced in the church of St. Paul. They drafted a constitution for German nation to be headed by monarchy subject to a parliament. They drafted a constitution ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು? How was it? A German nation to be headed by monarchy. They did not abolish monarchy. They wanted monarchy, but it was controlled by parliament. It was subjected by parliament. Okay, controlled. What were the decision taken by Frankfurt Parliament? The point number 1, a German nation to be headed by monarchy subject to a parliament. When the deputies offered the crown on these terms on Frederick William IV, ನೋಡ್ರಿ, the king of Prussia. ದಿಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಆಫರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ವೆನ್ ದ ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟೀಸ್ ಆಫರ್ಡ್ ದ ಕ್ರೌನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇದರ ಕಿರೀಟವನ್ನು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ದೇ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಟು ಆಫರ್ ದ ಕ್ರೌನ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟರ್ನ್ ಫೆಡರಿಕ್ ವಿಲಿಯಂ IV, ದ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ರಷ್ಯಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಬಟ್ ಈ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಹೂ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್? ಫೆಡರಿಕ್ ವಿಲಿಯಂ IV. Who was Frederick William IV? He was the king of Prussia. Prussia was the part of German. All the revolutionary activities was led by Prussia. That's why all the members, the king of Frederick William IV, the king of Prussia, he rejected it and joined other monarch to oppose the elected assembly. Here, 831 members were opposed by Frederick William IV. ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇವನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಆಫರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ? ದ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ 831 ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಆಫರ್ ಟು ಫೆಡರಿಕ್ ವಿಲಿಯಂ IV. ಇದರ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಗ್ರೀನ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಹೆಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ದಿಸ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಸೆಂಬ್ಲಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಗಂತೇಳಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ದ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಬಟ್ he was the monarch of this government, but parliament, there was a parliament, he was the monarch of this government. But Frederick William IV, who was Frederick William IV? He was the king of Prussia, but he rejected it and joined other monarchy. ಇವನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ? ಇದನ್ನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ. ಏನು? I did not want an assembly. ನನಗೆ ಅಸೆಂಬ್ಲಿ ಬೇಡ. When the deputies offered crown on the terms to Frederick William IV, king of Prussia, he rejected it and joined other monarch to oppose the elected assembly. Nodri, he opposed. Here you can see Frederick William IV opposed the 831 ಅಸೆಂಬ್ಲಿಯನ್ನು ಆಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ರಷ್ಯಾ, while the opposition of the aristocracy and military became stronger here, and also another persons, yaru aristocracy and next one is military became stronger. ಜರ್ಮನ್ನಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರಾಜನೇ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫೆಡರಿಕ್ ವಿಲಿಯಂ ಫೋರ್ was supported by aristocracy and military. They became strong. ಅವರೇನಾದರೂ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆದರು. Those who stronged, the opposition of the aristocracy and military became stronged. ಏನು ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರು? They opposed. They were opposing the assembly. Assembly ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದಿಲ್ಲ? They made assembly. It was opposed by Frederick William IV, aristocracy and military government. These three members opposed this system. And the social basis of parliament eroded. The social basis of parliament eroded, which means gradually destroy ಆಯಿತು. The social parliament destroy ಆಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನು ಬಂತು? Social parliament eroded. The parliament was dominated by the middle class who resisted the demands of workers. ನೋಡ್ರಿ, new parliament came into existence, 831 members. These members came into existence. This was called as parliamentary government. These parliamentary government dominated by the middle class. Those who were the domination of parliamentary government, middle class people, but they also resisted the demands of workers. Artisans and women. Consequently lost their support. Why did they lose their support? Because middle class parliamentary government was dominated by middle class family people. They also resisted the demand of workers. ಅಂದರೆ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ. They did not take the demand of workers and artisans and next women's. They wanted right to vote power. But ಏನಾಯಿತು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು? Consequently lost their power. Who had lost their power? Middle class government, a parliamentary government who had lost their power. Why? Because they resisted the demand of workers, artisans and women's. One more question. Parliamentary government of middle class family, parliamentary government of middle class liberals lost their support of workers, artisans and women. Why? Because middle class people, middle classes who resisted the demands of workers, artisans, consequently lost their support. ನಮಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಇದಾಯಿತು. In the end of troops were called in, the assembly was forced to disband. Means in the end ಏನಾಯಿತು? ಟ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್. ಟ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕರೆದ ಯಾರು? ಅರಿಸ್ಟೋಕ್ರಸಿ. ದೇ ವರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ದ ಟ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್. Troops were called by aristocracy and finally assembly was forced to disband. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಬಿದ್ದೋಯಿತು. This assembly was resolved, disbanded. Okay, next this is called as Frankfurt Parliament. Okay, next let us discuss about the political rights of women. Third point is political rights of women. Political rights of women. Political rights of women. Political rights of women. The issue of extending political rights to women was controversially one within the liberal movement, in which large numbers of women had participated actively over the years. The issue of extending political rights to women was controversial. This is one of the controversial, the extended of. Already so many governments in German, France, England government, they had provided right to men, suffrage to men. They did not provide to women. womenಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. This is one of the controversial. One with the liberal movement in which large number of women had participated actively over the years. Liberal movement ನಡಿಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ in the liberal movements going on, it was supported by a large number of women. Liberal movements means in France, there was a Girondist and a Jacobin government. And next, bread march. Women participate in the revolution? Yes, women also participated in the revolution, a bread march. So many times over the years, women who participated in the revolution, one within the liberal movement, in a large number of women had participated actively over the years, so many years. But yet still women did not take a right to voting power. Women had formed their own political association. Women had formed own political associations. And next, founded newspapers. Ishtella madidru kuda founded newspaper. Women had formed political associations, means political sangha, means Jacobins, either Jacobins, Girondists, and any other thing. They started newspaper. Many newspaper was founded by women and taken part in the political meetings ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. and next demonstratives ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. And what was the role of women in the European countries? Women had their in the France, women had their own political associations, founded newspapers, and next part of meetingsಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪೈಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಡಿನೈಡ್ suffrage of rights during the election of the assembly. But all these facilities were given to women by the government. What were the facilities were given to women by the government, revolutionary government of whatever it may be, Robespierre government, it may be Napoleon government, it could be Napoleon government, whatever the government, only the facilities. What are the facilities given to women by government? The first one is a formation of association, and next founded of newspaper, and next part of the meetings and demonstration. But they were denied suffrage of rights during the election of assembly. Avige they were not getting right to vote power. And next they were not get part in the election system. Okay, next, when the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul, women were admitted only as observers to stand visitors gallery. Nodri, in the Frankfurt Parliament we have discussed in the last para. Convinced. When was it convinced? Frankfurt Parliament, 18th May 1848. But in this also, women were admitted only as observers in the visited gallery, but they did not have right to voting power. Okay, and next, this is the third point of political right of women. Okay, explain the political right of women in the European countries. They did not have a right to voting power, only for they were observer at the visitor gallery. Okay, next, the last point is lessons learned by conservative regimes. Lessons learned by conservative regimes. Lessons learned by conservative regimes. ಏನು ಕಲ್ತ್ರ ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ? Though conservative forces were able to suppress liberal movements in 1848, even though conservatives, when was started conservatism? 1815 in the Vienna Congress. It was headed by Princess Metternich. It was headed by Princess Metternich, which means they had to establish tradition monarch system. That is called conservatism. Conservative forces were able to suppress liberal movements in 1848. They suppressed the 1848 liberal movements. They could not restore the old order. Monarchs were beginning to realize that the cycle of revolution and repression could only be ended by granting concessions to the liberal nationalistic revolutionaries. They understood, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತೇನು, we should not establish again monarch system. ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ monarch system ಅನ್ನು ಜಾರಿ ತರಬಾರ್ದು. We should not implement monarch system. We should not establish monarch system. Why? Because if we established monarch system, the people again revolted against the monarch government. That's why monarch was beginning realize that the cycles of revolution and repression could only ended by granting concession to the liberal nationalists. ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ನಾಟ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್. ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ದಟ್ ದ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಆಫ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಫ್ರೆಷನ್ ಕುಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಎಂಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಗ್ರಾಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಹೌ ವಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಂಡೆಡ್? ಗ್ರಾಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್. ಗ್ರಾಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು? ಗ್ರಾಂಟಿಂಗ್ concessions. Granting concessions ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು? ಟು ದ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲಿಸ್ಟ್. ಟು ದ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲಿಸ್ಟ್. ಟು ದ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲಿಸ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಎಂಡೆಡ್. ಹೌ ವಾಸ್ revolution ended? Only ended by how was cycle of revolution and repression. Repression which means ದಬ್ಬಾಳಿಕೆ. Revolution. How was it ended? ಹೆಂಗೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಮೊನಾರ್ಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? ದೇ ಥಾಟ್ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದವು. ಯಾರು? ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಟಿವ್ಸ್. ದೇ ವರ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಹೌ ಡು ವಿ ಎಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಬ್ಬಾಳಿಕೆ. ಹೇಗೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಎಂಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್. ಗ್ರಾಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನ್ ಟು ದ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲಿಸ್ಟ್. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ಸೆಷನನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ವೇ ಟು ಎಂಡ್ ದ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ after years of 1848, the autocratic monarchies of Central and Eastern Europe began to introduce the changes that are already taken place in the Western Europe before 1815. Whatever the changes which made before 1815, Western Europe, here this is called as Western Europe. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು? Whatever changes. Next France ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು changes? Whatever changes in the France and next Western Europe of countries of England, France, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತರಬೇಕು? ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್. ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ದ ಇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ 1848, ದ ಆಟೋಕ್ರಾಟಿಕ್ ಮೊನಾರ್ಕೀಸ್ of Central and Eastern Europe. Central, this is Central, Austria and next Hungary, these Eastern Europe, these countries began to introduce, ಅದನ್ನು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ where did begin to introduce? in the Central and Eastern Europe. Where was already introduced? It was introduced in the Western Europe. Introduced in the Western changes that had already taken place in Western Europe before 1815. The serfdom and bonded labor were abolished in the Habsburg domination and in Russia. Now here, this is not only Eastern Europe, here Russia also practiced after 1848. ಏನಿತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ? there was a monarchy system. Whatever changes which had been made in the France and here next France and England before 1815 and next ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು? ಇದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಅದನ್ನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಾ ಅಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ರಷ್ಯಾ, ಆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಾ, ಹಂಗೇರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದರು? ದೇ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ monarchy government but controlled by constitution. Okay, serfdom and bonded labor were abolished both in the Habsburg domination and in Russia. Where was serfdom and bonded labor were abolished? Habsburg domination and Russia. Habsburg, which means Austria. The Habsburg rule granted more autonomy to the Hungarian in 1867. Nodri, Hungary, in the first we have discussed first period. ಏನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಫೆಡ್ರಿಕ್ ಸೂರು ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಏನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗೇರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ existence as a nation state, but Hungarian state, it was existed as a nation state in 1867. It was controlled by, before it was controlled by Habsburg dynasty of Austria. After 1867 it had become independent country. Okay, hope you have understood what we have discussed in this class. The first one is liberals and their demands, first para. Second para, Frankfurt Parliament. Third para, political rights to women. Last, lessons learned by conservative regimes. Okay, I hope you have understood. Thank you.